like to introduce Torild Stray, one of our artists, and you're seeing her work. There are two series. So there's one series that's here. This is, and Tori can say a bit more about it, but she had a residency at the World Trade Center. And so this is kind of the view she had from there. They had residencies for artists. And then over there is also an etching from that view. And then these are kind of like details from the residency. And then these are called the diary series, and it's a much more personal approach to it. For me, it's really interesting because you have like a city which is really large, and that's in a very small, detail like this. And then you have that series where it's Torild's intimate world, and that's also a fairly small format. Yet I think there really like some similarity between those two, and I think I'd like to ask Torild, how does she see like kind of her approach to kind of like subject,
I draw from the figure, like regular. I've done that for many years. Not in a sort of academic way and trying to be like good at drawing, but more to use it as sort of a vehicle and to expand my language as a painter. Because ultimately, when you work with paintings, you're really drawing. Like that's like a physical thing to it, right? And I'm also into like the paint itself, like the pigment and all that, right? But so when it comes to the abstraction thing that you're mentioning, I think it comes from the drawing. The drawing is where that's sort of like the skeleton for the paintings. I also work like on really large pieces. So it's really interesting to work on these small pieces because they're like almost like an essence, like they're like these dense things, and you can change things quicker, and so yeah, they become like this diary series, like they're close to me in a different way, and I can experiment in a slightly different way than when you work with like really that size wall. Then it's a different way to work, right? But I definitely always try to push. I don't want to just feel like comfortable. Oh yeah, I know how to do that. I'm just gonna do that again and again. No, I try to like really push myself and challenge the paintings, and then I scrape it all out, and then I go on again, and then So, but the drawing is really key to how I work as a painter, and sort of the key into the abstractions too. I think because you start to, after a while, I start to get an abstract understanding of what I see. Like let's say I was painting him now, right? It's like he's in space, so I look at him in a more different analytical way, and I try to explore the space around him and the planes and everything. So that's sort of what I'm about, I guess. Also, as much as these visions, like just my mood or my temperament. I'm a little bit high strung, so I like chase things and I get angry, and then I like fuck that, boop, 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 So that kind of helps me also to move forward.
I have a question about the choice of color. About your choice of color. Do you just wake up and say I'm going to use yellow or brown or pink? What's the decision about the color?
It's like a little bit of all of that, what you said. It's like a mixture. It's not. Sometimes it's like very conscious. Okay, I'm going to explore this palette, but then I like impulsively maybe introduce another color, and then I go, that doesn't work, and then just start a dialogue. It's almost like you start a dialogue with the paints, and then all of a sudden you're like just introducing all sorts of different things.
This is Gallery Particulier. It has a mission to expand the reach of art, to make galleries less intimidating, to bring art to people who don't necessarily go to art galleries.
Awesome.
And so that's our primary mission. And then we also work with New York-based related artists who we think, that we feel their work needs to be seen by the community because